Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. I am joined today by my wonderful panel. We've got Matthew Mausden, Blaze TV contributor and actor and producer extraordinaire, along with John Doyle, host of Heck Off Commie and also Blaze TV contributor. And it has been quite the day. We have been on verdict watch for Donald Trump's, of course, the New York City trial in regards to falsifying business records. Now, this is what is commonly referred to as the Stormy Daniels hush money trial. But of course, the actual crime that they allege took place was falsifying business records, which we're supposed to believe, gentlemen, is like the biggest crime ever.
Super serious.
Threat to democracy, all of the hyperbole. And so as we talk about this, I want to kind of go through the events that took place today and where the jury stands right now, which, by the way, they have been dismissed for the day. So they are going to continue deliberating tomorrow. But so just remember, as we walk through all of this, that the prosecutors alleged that a second crime took place by attempting to conceal the falsification of business records. And that's what this entire case hinges on, because if it's a misdemeanor, the statute of limitations expires in 2019. But they're trying to amp it up by saying, no. The falsification of business records took place because they were doing another crime, and that rises to the level of a felony. Okay, so the prosecutors throughout this trial threw out a couple different theories on what that second crime could have been. Emphasis on the word theories. Okay, they said, well, it could have been tax fraud. It could have been election fraud. It could have been falsifying the business records in order to conceal a different crime. It could have been any of those things, but they never actually presented a theory or evidence of which crime they were accusing him of committing. There was no specific, this was what we alleged that he committed. They're just like, well, it could have been one of these things. And so what I found shocking today was that the judge, Juan Merchan, instructed the jury before they went into deliberation that they do not need to reach a unanimous verdict in order to convict Donald Trump. Now, here's what I mean by that. They don't all have to agree on what second crime was committed. They just have to agree that one of the crimes was committed. So he divided the jury into three groups. He said one group will deliberate on election fraud, another tax fraud, the third on the falsification of business records to conceal another crime. And he said that unanimity not required. And in fact, he could consider the 4-4-4, of course, the three groups. That's a split, but he could just consider that a unanimous verdict. And I want to play for you guys former Assistant U.S. Attorney Andy McCarthy on this development. Watch.
He just delivered what is being called really the pinnacle of all of this. He said that there is no need to agree on what has occurred. They can disagree on what the crime was among the three choices. Thus, this means that they could split 4-4-4 and the judge would still treat them unanimously. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, it's really outrageous because in a normal criminal case, every statutory crime has what we call elements of the offense. Like in a bank robbery case, it's, you have to rob. It's got to be a financial institution. You have to show intent. Those are the things the jury has to agree on unanimously that they were proved beyond a reasonable doubt. Here, what we're doing is taking the element that actually makes this a felony, because remember, falsification of records is normally a misdemeanor in New York. What makes it a felony is that you're concealing or committing another crime. And here the judge is telling them they don't have to agree about what the other crime is under circumstances where that not only is what makes this a felony, what makes it a 4-year potential prison penalty rather than a year or less, but it's also what gets us into the courtroom, because if this had been a misdemeanor, the time to bring this case would have lapsed in 2019. So the only reason they're still able to bring this case is because it's a felony, allegedly, and yet now the judge is saying, you don't have to agree on what the felony is.
Now, obviously, this is just ass backwards way of doing things. This is not what the justice system was meant for. This is, of course, I mean, I hate to be, I hate to curse here, but the old saying, throw some shit at the wall and see what sticks. It seems to be like they have found the sentence that they want Donald Trump to serve. They're just trying to figure out how to weasel their way into making him serve that. And it's completely contrary, by the way, to some of the jury instructions that the jury received, which says that of course, the prosecution must prove beyond a reasonable doubt every element of the crime. Well, how in the hell is the jury supposed to know whether or not the prosecution proved beyond a reasonable doubt every element of the crime if you haven't even told us what the second crime is? How is that possible? Of course it's not. And so, I mean, I have to believe in my heart of hearts that this jury understands what they're dealing with and sees through the BS, even if they don't like Donald Trump. I don't understand how someone could sit through this entire trial, watch Michael Cohen, known fraud and known perjurer, get up on the stand and talk about how he doesn't like Donald Trump and his feelings were hurt because he wasn't considered for a promotion. Listen to Stormy Daniels get up there and, give all these salacious details about their consensual time together, which, by the way, I'm not even sure if it actually happened because she already signed a letter years ago saying that it didn't happen. And so there is such a large part of me that wants to believe in the humanity of people, even who live in New York and even who may not be prone to, liking Trump or voting for Trump, that they can see through this obvious farce and this obvious weaponization of the justice system that this judge is currently engaging in.
Well, I just think what they've done is they've tried to confuse the jurors as best as they can. I mean, every step of the way, they're trying to confuse them. Because, I mean, surely what you want to do is as you said, you want to present the allegations of the crime, and then you want to, check the things that go up to create that crime.
Right.
Well, they don't have that now. So imagine if you're sitting in their shoes and you're like, okay, so what's the crime? We don't know what the crime is. Okay, so we don't have to say what the felony is for us to
convict him and have him spend 4 years in jail? Seems pretty important to me.
Well, this is but imagine them sitting there. It's okay for us on the outside, right? Because we're outside and we can look at people like Andy McCarthy. Even if you don't know anything about the legal process, you can look at trusted people like that. Mm-hmm. And I'd hope that the left are doing the same thing, because if they're not, I mean, we know that the MSM on their side, they're just useless anyway, but you'd hope that they would have some kind of integrity to go, this is insane. Like, this is not fair. It's not fair on the jurors, actually. It's not fair on the person they're prosecuting, not that they give a damn about that. But the whole thing is a giant ball of spaghetti that is insane. And this is where we are in our society. It's where we are in our legal system, which should terrify the hell out of everybody. Like, looking at this, hey, listen, you might have done one thing wrong in the past, or be alleged. And what we're going to do is we're going to back into what we want to prosecute you for. And by the way, we're not even going to tell people what you're going to be prosecuted for, but somehow we're going to find a way of finding you guilty of that. It's just like,
yeah, there is no innocent until proven guilty anymore.
It even seems inconceivable to imagine them treating George Bush this way. George Bush, who now gets to go to the parties and hang out with Barack Obama and Bill Clinton.
Him.
George Bush was Adolf Hitler. Mm-hmm. George Bush was a war criminal. George Bush committed electoral fraud and stole the election because of the hanging chads. But now he gets to retire and live a peaceful life and sell his paintings and things like that and enjoy the rest of his life because he more or less played ball and did what, the people in power wanted him to do. For some reason, Donald Trump has really just scorned these people in a way that has caused them to take all of these actions. And me, even as somebody who makes a living in politics, I spend 12 hours a day on my phone, which I don't brag about. It's probably very bad for me for a lot of reasons. I don't even remember like all of the details of all of these cases. It's all just sort of lumped together into this big thing, which is just, okay, they're going after President Cheeto because they view him for whatever reason to be a threat to what they're trying to do to our country. And so I think it's very much an important time for us to rally behind Trump because, I mean, what happens after this? Right. If they can't get him this way, it's very popular on Twitter now, for example, to say, well, Trump wasn't good on this, he wasn't good on the vaccines, or he wasn't good on this other issue. That may be the case, but even the way that we regard the first Trump administration to be, he could have done more, he didn't do anything, that's because we look at Trump as this, like, guy who's going to get in there and drain the swamp. He still sustained a tremendous economy. He didn't get us involved in more conflicts overseas, but because he didn't manage to drain the swamp, we think, oh, it was a whole failure. We need to just get a new guy in there. And a lot of that, I think, can be attributed to personnel issues. I mean, as much as the deep state did impede him, you got to remember, he gets in there and Reince Priebus, chair of the RNC, has a Rolodex full of names that can be hired into the administration. And you had other guys who were supposed to have those lists of names, but they were maybe drawing on their whiteboards and didn't exactly present him with that list. And so a lot of those issues are being resolved behind the scenes. And so I think we need to look at the actions that our enemies are taking, which are suggesting that they know something's going on in Trump world with the next Trump administration that is going to be very real and very significant to the way that politics works in this country, which is why they're taking it to these lengths to stop him.
Yeah. I know I said that the jury the jury left for the day. They will continue deliberations tomorrow. But look, this is purely speculative just because I think that it's fun to speculate a little bit on this and try to get inside the brains of these jurors. I did minor in forensic psychology after all. And so they asked for Cohen's testimony again. They asked for David Pecker's testimony, who, of course, ran the National Enquirer. And they also asked for a copy. They wanted to hear the jury instructions again. And I keep going back and forth in my head going, I don't know what that means. I want to know what that means, but I don't love it. I don't love that they asked for Pecker's testimony because Pecker's testimony, to me, when I heard it, I didn't hear anything that would have risen to the level of a crime. I don't know why he was even there other than to say Donald Trump liked to squash negative stories about himself, which is like, hey, you know what? If I'm ever super rich and I have the money to throw around to prevent people from writing hit pieces about me, I'm probably going to do it. Okay. But that's not what this case is about. And then Michael Cohen, of course, we mentioned he's a total fraud and a known liar and perjurer. So not quite sure why we need his testimony again. Are we relying on his testimony? And then of course, they asked for a copy of the rules again. And then I go back to, well, maybe they are trying to do the right thing. Thoughts?
I think they're confused. I mean, like I said, I'm confused by it all. Right. Like you said, there's so much crap that's getting
maybe
thrown.
That's part of the point.
I think they're just looking there like, do we have anything that we can kind of grasp onto that's tangible that we can kind of find a way through this? Now, why they go to Cohen, I have no idea. I mean, those two testimonies are two of them that you would think, why are they asking?
Yeah, throw it out.
Including
Stormy Daniels. Throw out that testimony too. Why do I care what the two of them consented to together in some hotel room or wherever the hell? Why do I care? The last thing I want to think about is Donald Trump engaging in that. I don't care to think about that at all. So I can't point to not one witness that they put up there that you go, oh, that was the bombshell. That was the smoking gun. That's the witness that's going to sink Donald Trump. Not one. And I'm not saying this because I don't like Joe Biden and because I want Donald Trump elected. Obviously, I do. But I feel like I've been objective in this entire thing that it's like, if there is something that's going to sink him, I will sit here and I will warn you that I think that this looks bad. I can't point to one single moment in the trial. And by the way, neither can CNN or MSNBC. Who would love nothing more than to sink Donald Trump. And even they are saying, yeah, I mean, the prosecution's kind of screwed here because they haven't proven anything.
Yeah, there wasn't like I remember during the Rittenhouse trial, for example, there was that one moment where I think it was the guy who got his arm blown off or something. He said something that just gave the case to the defense, where he said something like he conceded that he was trying to shoot Kyle in the head and that like Kyle acted in self-defense or something.
Yeah, they said he only shot at you after you pointed the gun at him, and he said yes.
And so then it was like over for them. And so there hasn't been a moment like that or even approximating that in this case. And I do maybe I'm just optimistic, but have faith that people might be more compelled to act objectively because the consequences, even though it is a politically motivated trial, are less immediate. Like, okay, you vote to acquit Trump or something. What's really going to happen? I mean, you might roll your eyes, but it's not like you're voting to acquit Derek Chauvin or Kyle Rittenhouse, where there could be like riots if this happened. I mean, they've done this so many times. Nothing's really happening as a result of it because then there aren't like these networks of Antifa type activists who are trying to like dox these jurors, for example, the way that there were in like one of those other cases. So perhaps that alone will be better for us than if it were, something that was more racially motivated or racially charged.
Yeah, and they do, even if you don't like Trump. I'm trying to like put myself in the head of one of these people. Even if you don't like Trump, you're from New York, you can't stand the guy. Even if you don't like him, you could also go, well, one of the other indictments will stick.
Yeah.
We don't have to force it into this one. He's got a bunch of indictments. I'm sure they'll get him on another one. But they didn't prove their case here. I'm sure they will on one of the other ones. So then they've got that also as well. Okay, I want to play this clip of Donald Trump outside of the courthouse after the jury was dismissed to begin deliberations earlier today. Watch.
In listening to the charges from the judge, who's, as you know, very conflicted and corrupt, because of the confliction, very, very corrupt. Mother Teresa could not beat these charges. These charges are rigged. The whole thing is rigged. The whole country's a mess between the borders and fake elections, and you have a trial like this where the judge is so conflicted he can't breathe. He's got to do his job, and it's not for me, that I can tell you. It's a disgrace. And I mean that. Mother Teresa could not beat those charges.
I don't like him saying that. I don't like him saying that. No. I don't like him already conceding that he's not going to beat the charges. I don't like that. I would prefer for him to say they haven't proven anything. Where's the evidence? They haven't said anything.
That's the first time for me where he
feels down.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
The first time he looks a bit down. I mean, look,
couldn't blame him.
I would have been on my back after the first week. I would have been like, please take this away.
Yeah.
So, you're going to have your moments, aren't you? I mean, I think he's been incredible, but yeah, that's, it's certainly saying that someone who was completely innocent couldn't beat the charges, which means that he feels like he's not going to.
Right.
That is like a very Trump way to frame it. It's like, did you have an affair with this woman? And he's like, look, this is all corrupt. Mother Teresa couldn't beat it. I mean, what I've done is irrelevant. This is corrupt. This is totally rigged. It's like a perfect Trump framing.
Okay. Trump campaign, if you're watching, which obviously you are, tell him don't do that. We don't need him feeling down. We need him, even if he doesn't feel it, he needs to project power at all times. Like, yeah, whatever. They don't have anything. Screw these people. It's my personal opinion. You don't
Maybe he was doing that because he wasn't saying like it's over. He's still saying they're corrupt. That he seemed a bit.
He's saying it's rigged.
True.
And even Mother Teresa couldn't beat these charges. So then how would he? That's the point.
That seems to me to be more to emphasize how rigged it is, saying this is such an absurd standard that even somebody who's so innocent couldn't beat it.
I agree with the intention. To me it projects defeat to me. He sounded defeated.
Well, I just think it's the way that he carried himself. Normally he's a lot more bullish, but I mean, come on. I mean, he's been going through it for.
Who can blame him?
There's no.
Who can blame
get
him?
it?
Who can blame him?
There's no way to feel good seeing your dad cry. It's like one of those moments where it's like, oh no. Atlas is shrugging, kind of.
Yeah. No one can blame him. Okay. All right. We've got to take a quick break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Jase Medical. So, look, there is a hurricane season coming up. And speaking of hurricane season, we had hurricane winds over here in this area. I know I talked about this yesterday. Our fence came down. Our power was out. We finally got the power back on late yesterday evening. But the point is that it's hurricane season. It's just starting, and meteorologists have called for 24 named storms. This is storms with winds of 39 miles per hour or more, 11 hurricanes with winds up to 70 miles an hour range. And I'm just saying, if you consider emergency food, if you're like a prepper and you consider emergency food as a must, you really also should consider emergency medication a must as well. And that is why you need the Jase case. It is 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use only. And it's very simple. You go online, fill out a simple form, and you will have it there ready to use in case you need it. Just as a quick aside, one of my friends who watches this program, they bought the Jase case and they had it at home. And one of the other reasons that I think that it's so necessary is the convenience factor. Like, you're busy, you have a family, you don't always have time to go to the emergency room or go to the urgent care or whatever, or your doctor can't get you in. Well, it was Memorial Day weekend and their son came down with an ear infection and they had the Jase case there, and it saved them a trip to urgent care or potentially the ER when their son had an ear infection. So they were able to just use it right there, texted me and said, thank you so much for recommending this. This has worked out great for us. So make sure that you go to jasemedical.com, enter code Sarah at checkout for a discount on your order. That is promo code Sarah at jasemedical.com. An update in the Sean Diddy Combs saga. It's not getting better for him. Spoiler alert. He's now facing criminal charges as a grand jury has been selected to hear evidence against him in a federal probe. Now, he's been named in 8 lawsuits accusing him of sexual assault and human trafficking. And Homeland Security investigators are reportedly still gathering evidence in the case. But this is all developing at the same time that the Rolling Stone, they researched for like 6 months. They called all of Diddy's former friends and colleagues. I believe that they reached out to about 300 of them, and about only 50 of them actually spoke on the record, but found out kind of a slew of information. I would just say, look, if he's bad and there's evidence to show that he was sex trafficking and he engaged in sexual assault, screw him. I think throw the book at him. But this is a little bit of a hit piece because we don't have any evidence to prove any of this, but allegedly, Casey Sheridan, who was a member of the United States girl group Dream, told Rolling Stone that she was summoned for a meeting with Diddy at a Beverly Hills hotel when she was 15 years old, where he emerged in a bathrobe. And they said in their report, Combs wielded his growing power to bend people to his will, sources claim, sending staffers to win back one-time girlfriend Jennifer Lopez, beating a label executive bloody after he became romantically involved with Combs' ex-partner Kim Porter and allegedly trying to solicit sex from a woman on his payroll. Several women who attended Howard University with him claimed to Rolling Stone that they had seen signs of a controlling and abusive personality decades ago. And then, of course, some classmates said that he had previously unreported incidents involving unwanted touching and fits of rage. So things are not looking good for Diddy. Now, I know we've talked about this particular topic quite a bit as it's been unraveling, as the video was leaked of him brutally assaulting, I would say, his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. That is not part of any of this because that was a settlement that was already reached outside of, criminal court. But there's a lot to still be played out here. And it looks like, we kept going back and forth. Is he actually going to pay? Is he not? And it seems to be that he is the sacrificial lamb, so to speak, in this industry, which I know, Matt, you are well aware is just rife with this type of behavior.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's, he is the one that they're offering up for, and you have to think, well, why is that? It's like with Weinstein, like, why was he the one? And I maintain it, that Weinstein was just too powerful, and after a while, people just wanted to get rid of him. I mean, the whole notion that everyone was shocked about what Harvey Weinstein was doing was just absurd. And it's just, if this has been going on for so long, it's the same thing. You can't tell me that people didn't know or that they didn't, speak up. I there's part of me I look at that Rolling Stone, and Rolling Stone are just piece of work anyway. It's ridiculous. But like all of a sudden they go back to his people at college, that all of a sudden they're saying that he had signs back then. Come on.
I know. And that's why I'm saying this is all kind of a hit piece. So I don't know how much I buy it, but clearly they're all in destroying Diddy.
Yeah, they want to smash him. I mean, and like you said, if he's done those things, then he should be.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking about the innocent until proven guilty, right? Like allegations until they go through the process. And this is America.
Now, I will say the leaked video was pretty damning that he was guilty of that particular crime.
Yeah, but like you said, I mean, and look, I'm no Diddy defender, whatever that is. I'm not a Diddy apologist. It's funny. But like, that is one, if we're looking at what's going on with Trump, right? You have to, this is one of the great things about the United States of America. You are innocent until proven guilty, and the process to go through, and I keep saying it, we've had it with the cops that have been accused of things. Like, let the process go through. Like, don't get out the traps. One of the negative things about having social media is people are so desperate to be the first to break something. Like, they're so desperate to get out there. And sometimes you can get out there and you'll be ahead of the curve and you'll be good. Like, you've got the scoop. But other times, hang on a second, you're diverting justice really by doing these things, and I just think we should let it play out, and then the truth will come out. You know, it will come out eventually. But I think that we have to be really mindful of the process, the legal process.
Yeah, I really, to your point, wonder whose toes did this guy step on?
I know.
I mean, when you're a guy like that in your circle and then your circle, I mean, everybody knows sort of your day-to-day, the things that you get up to, and they're fine with it because maybe they themselves personally partake or because they are dependent upon you for income or status or something. But at what point did he like cross a line where all this stuff had to come out? Same thing with Weinstein, even Epstein, frankly, like the fact that there were criminal proceedings against him, like why was that even happening in the first place? Because you have to understand when you're a guy like that who is at the nexus of some sort of power conglomerate, there is something to be said about like a sense of mutually assured destruction where, okay, well, if stuff comes out about you, then maybe you start saying stuff that this person did or something. So yeah, I hope that the truth does come out to the extent that it's like, oh, so that's who he crossed and that's why all this stuff was happening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that we will ever,
Probably
to your point, you're right. Do we know who it was with Harvey Weinstein? Do we know who it was with Jeffrey Epstein? I certainly don't.
Epstein, maybe, like everybody.
Well,
With
but I'm just saying, like, what was
Schneider,
the...
I think I have a hunch, which is that, you know,
Everyone hates you for your Dan Schneider hot
and that's
take.
the integrity of it, you know? That's the thing. It's
a bad take.
It's a thankless job I make. And by the way, it's not even like Harvey Weinstein, for example, where I'm like some actress coming out like, oh, you know, I still like Harvey, like signaling to other producers, like, I won't tell on you. I won't be a problem. I don't know Dan Schneider. I have no aspirations to be a child actor. Like, I get nothing for this except truth. And the fact that you can't even conceive of that as a legitimate motive, I think betrays your character, actually. Tossing stones at Dan Schneider. What about Sara Gonzales?
Sara Gonzales is tossing stones at Dan Schneider for getting in a hot tub with a young girl and for coming up with scenes that Ariana Grande is like making a motion that you should not be making.
You just don't understand child humor.
Jerking a potato or whatever.
And you know, Ariana Grande, she
Milking
was
a potato.
18 at the time. She went on to write songs that are very explicit. You think she didn't know what she was doing?
I'm not saying that she didn't, but he was the showrunner.
Okay.
This was all done under him.
Point before we go through Dan Schneider's whole, the point is the reason that this all has come out against Dan Schneider is because you look at the documentary that we all maybe saw, and it's talking about Dan Schneider as a pedophile. Dan Schneider did all this.
And I agree. That's wrong to label him that way.
There's all these pictures of him being a big creepy fat guy, but then
He is a big creepy fat guy.
He's a person of size.
But he's creepy.
I concede that. You look at the actual allegations against him, and it's all of these like disgruntled child actors saying that he was sexist and he was racist and he was saying things that were abusive. He was controlling and manipulative. So what I think tends to happen is everybody is very willing to go along with terrible behavior in people if they think it means they will have their careers advanced.
I agree with you.
And it's only when they cross a few lines, whether, well, he didn't give me my big break, he didn't do that, all of a sudden, well, actually, I have a big problem with the things that this guy is doing and blah, 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 because, you know, like the documentary, for example, that was the biggest thing these kids have been involved in since the hot tub clip. And now it's
I totally agree with you. But to your point, what do I have to gain from it? I don't want to be in that world either.
You're
but
paid off by Cartoon Network. You have an incentive to take down Nickelodeon.
okay, but just final question on this. Did Dan
I'm loving
Schneider?
this, by the way.
I know.
I'm like this going.
Did Dan Schneider engage in extremely creepy behavior with minors?
The question, did Dan Schneider engage in creepy behavior with minors, begs the question, what do you mean by Dan Schneider?
Would you approve of the decisions that he made and the places he put himself in with young girls if that was your daughter? Would you approve of that?
Like, no.
Okay. Thank you.
He's like,
my point is like,
oh, you got me on
I
that
don't
one.
want to agree with you, Sarah, but I guess you have a point.
And the same honesty that compels me to defend Dan Schneider compels me to answer your question
Thank you.
the way you wanted it to be answered.
And I appreciate that integrity, John. Okay, we gotta take another quick break. We'll be back with more, but I want to tell you guys about the cover-up. So the trustworthiness of Dr. Anthony Fauci, I'd say, has been up for debate since the moment that he came on the scene. And I think you and I know that despite the media's campaign to defend his character, there was and is a lot of suspicious stuff going on behind the scenes. So We already know they lied about COVID. We know that the statistics were inflated, and we know that Dr. Fauci, of course, is tied into all of it. And if scientists, doctors, or journalists spoke out against Dr. Fauci, they were silenced immediately. But the question was, why? What was the COVID mafia trying to hide, and how was the messaging so perfectly coordinated so quickly? Well, you remember all of the policies that they had during the pandemic. Okay, we've not forgotten about this, and we're still dealing with the repercussions today. And we've teamed up with Free the People to release The Cover-Up, a docuseries that is available this week on Blaze TV. It exposes Fauci for what we all know he is, a liar. Now, Fauci is scheduled to testify on June 3rd with the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability. So watch The Cover-Up so that you can see the lies that he is spreading and continues to spread before he testifies. You can go to FauciCoverup.com/Sarah. Use code FauciLied to get $30 off an annual subscription. That is FauciCoverup.com/Sarah. Code FauciLied. So according to a new report, things just continue to get worse at the border. The Biden administration released an Afghan illegal immigrant on the terror watch list. Not once, gentlemen, but twice. They released him and gave him a date for an asylum hearing. This is Mohammed Karwin. He's 48 years old, and he was caught by authorities initially while illegally crossing the border in 2023. And of course, you just release them into the interior of the country after that. Now, Border Patrol says we didn't have biometric information that connected him with the watch list. And then he was arrested again in 2024, and he was brought before an immigration judge and freed again with an asylum hearing in the year 2025. That time he was released because ICE prosecutors withheld evidence of his possible ties to terrorism because the information was classified. They just they couldn't give it up. It was too classified that you had to put all Americans at risk instead of just giving the information that this guy is on the terror watch list, which one would wonder, why is there a terror watch list if we don't actually go through it?
Because it's only for Americans. It's only for American citizens that disagree with the Biden administration.
It's only for Christian white men who wear red Trump hats. That's who they want on the
January the
6th.
6th, you went to the Capitol and walked around, or you picked up a lectern and moved it 10 feet.
Right.
You're on the watch list and you're going to jail. You want to go and blow people up with a suicide vest? Go ahead.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't want to hurt his feelings. They didn't want to.
Yeah, I mean, when's the last time that they actually had knowledge of one of these instances and stopped it from happening? I mean, our government knew about the 9/11 attacks. Our government knew at varying levels about these shootings that occur at schools, and they don't interfere because the government tends to benefit in terms of power when these things are able to happen because people look for security and they look for the government and they want somebody to save them. And so these things are largely to their benefit. And the only real purpose that something like, if I were king, for example, and I had something like intelligence agencies, I would have them be monitoring like fat communists to make sure that they don't get a little bit too uppity so that, we can throw them in jail for being fat communists or something. The same way that's like what the FBI does with American patriots who are handsome and cool because we pose a threat.
And slim.
And this is true.
Fit.
Well, some of these MAGA patriots are a little husky. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. I mean, look at Ben Franklin. They're the same person. And so I think that is why these things happen. Even TSA, for example, they have like a 93% failure rate in terms of
detecting. Is it that good? I thought it was 97.
It may be 9 out of 10 times, you're getting through, but you can't have your water. You can't have blah, blah, blah. And you have to be molested by these people when you go through, and you have to go through like the cancer screen thing. And so things like that is how you are demoralized when you go to travel. I mean, let alone the types of people who are occupying American airports and you're getting yelled at in languages you don't even understand. So all this going on. So it's just to say that, anything that our government is doing is to demoralize and humiliate and persecute American patriots and take their money away and give it to people who are not American patriots. And if you're just anybody, you can just come in, we'll give you free health care or whatever you want. Mm-hmm. You literally openly are a person who is hostile towards our government, our people. That's fine. We'll just come back whenever you want, things of that nature.
But here's the thing, though, as well. And I'm going to ask a personal question here to the panel.
Okay.
How many times have you been arrested?
None.
See, that's why I knew. I was like,
Well, define arrest.
He's pleading the fifth.
let's go with Sarah's
Detained is not
answer.
arrested.
Right. I was arrested in the UK once.
Really?
Yeah. But it wasn't me. I've opened a can of worms. No, but I was arrested for something that I was in the vicinity of. But I've never been arrested.
Right.
Arrested. You know, it was like there was a group of people that were in a place. But my point is how crap do you have to be as a terrorist to be arrested twice?
Yeah, that many times.
And if you like, at least they're useless terrorists. I mean, you'd have to.
But how crap do you have to be as a government to continue arresting them and letting them go? I mean, which is worse?
And imagine if you're the judge, like, you know, what that is the reason why you have that information. Like, why you have information you're a terrorist, so your job is to give it over. Now, I will ask this other question as well. Why hasn't anyone whistleblown? Why hasn't any of the team on the ICE team come out and said, this is absurd. We're letting this is one person that we know of. It's not, you know it's going to be in the hundreds.
Right.
So why hasn't anyone come forward and said, hey guys, listen, your job doesn't matter if we're going to be blown up by a nuclear weapon. Right? It doesn't matter.
Well, I would just say, I mean, we continue to see, I couldn't even, it's bad when I'm going through, you know, the story selection today, and it's like, which illegal immigrant story are we going to cover today? Because I don't have time to cover all of them, because I was like, oh, illegal immigrant wanted for, abusing a child. Oh, 2 Venezuelan illegal immigrants are wanted in some sex trafficking gang that they were engaging in. I mean, it's just all over the place. So it's no wonder that this is Americans' top issue, or at least one of their top issues, because it's affecting everyone in every single state. So we've got that going on at the same time that, you know, we've got polls that are coming out that Americans are seeing the state of Joe Biden's America, and perhaps they don't like it. You know, we've got Pennsylvania, which is still in the toss-up column, but it's slowly trending towards Donald Trump, who is leading Joe Biden by 2.3 points in the Real Clear Politics average of polls in the state of Pennsylvania. Trump just got a bolster of lead last week by a poll from Cook Political Report that showed him up 3 points. And apparently, the report is that the Biden campaign is just kind of panicked over the results in Pennsylvania. And I mean, this could be the state that decides everything. If Trump holds all of the states that he won in 2020 and he wins the swing states where he is decisively ahead, including Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada, and then captures Pennsylvania, he will go back to the White House. So I'm trying to give hope. Okay, we started the show talking about we don't know if Donald Trump is going to be found guilty of crimes that he didn't actually commit, but meanwhile, the Biden campaign is pulling out all the stops. They are, you know, they're showing up in front of the courthouse with Robert De Niro, like anyone gives a shit about Robert De Niro and what he has to say. I mean, they're trying to pull out all the stops. And I will say, they are also engaging in Sesame Street characters, I guess, because Biden and Harris stopped at Girard College, which is apparently they're launching this new campaign, Black Voters for Biden Harris, because they realized that they're losing the black vote in like record numbers. And so they launched it, and apparently Elmo was there. Watch. There's Elmo with a marching band. I can't tell you how weird that is.
Black people don't even like Elmo. It should have been like Goku or something. See, they don't even know their base. They don't even know who they're trying to appeal to. I think that as demoralizing as the persecution of Trump may appear to be, what is that face?
Nothing.
It's objectively true. The Goku thing.
I don't even know who Goku is.
I have no idea.
I believe he's a Dragon Ball Z character.
Oh.
Big Goku fans in the black community.
Really?
Oh yeah, you wouldn't even believe it. But it is a reason to be optimistic, because if the Democrats were not afraid of Trump's chances of getting into office, they wouldn't be pulling out all these stops. If they weren't afraid that he could get into office and be, if they thought that he could be contained, they wouldn't be pulling out all of these tricks.
Right.
They would just let him get in, let people think, haha, we still can win elections, and then they'd contain him, and we wouldn't have anything to show for it. So I think that the writing on the wall says that we should be positive. I would also like to clarify, I have not been arrested. I have not been charged with a crime. I've been swatted. And
that's different.
That was a lot of fun, but I've never been arrested.
Yeah.
Oh, I did know that.
That's
okay.
a whole story.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, look, there's nothing that appeals to the black community more than Elmo.
It's just like,
I'm like,
Why is
I'm on
Elmo
Robert
there?
De Niro. Like, what are you even thinking? But look, we know that they're desperate. We know that this whole thing is because they know that they, in the real world, cannot beat Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. I don't think they beat him last time. Mm-hmm. I don't think they'll beat him this time, legitimately. So they know that this guy's going to go in and he's going to tear it all down. Yeah. It's not going to be like the last time. He's not going to come in and there's the deep state people are going to be gone. That he's going to go through it like something through a goose. See, I did it again. I didn't swear.
Oh, you filtered yourself. This is Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. You don't have to filter yourself.
Shit through a goose.
Clearly, I don't. So.
There you go.
Okay, I want to stay on this topic. We got to take a break, but I want to stay on the topic of just the disastrous polling, what the Biden campaign is pivoting to. We will get into that after the break. So back on how the Biden campaign is going, I would just say, that it's bad when CNN is asking one of the Biden 2024 communications people, I'm going to play this clip. You tell me that this isn't just CNN saying, so if you don't improve your polling, do you agree that you're screwed? Watch.
Do you agree, though, if you don't improve your numbers, your chances to winning the White House again are shot?
Yeah, what I'm telling you is that this campaign is doing the work to win black voters, and all voters are going to decide the pathway to 270 electoral votes in November.
What a question. I mean,
I'm a little bit stunned.
I know. That's why she's literally like, so you agree that if you don't do better, you're done. CNN, I couldn't believe it. That's how well it's going for the Biden campaign.
Yeah, they're panicked. I mean, they're absolutely panicked. And I just want to say as well, Sarah, that I was not arrested either.
True. Yeah.
All three of us.
Fact checkers have verified this. No one has ever been arrested.
Ever.
Well, no one at this table.
No one ever has been arrested.
Ever?
No,
but
they fabricate that to make American citizens look like criminals. No one's ever been arrested in American history. That's like not actually a thing that's happened. But public schools will tell you differently. But yeah, so speaking of people who don't get arrested, black people are turning for Donald Trump in record numbers. And this is very promising because GOP people would almost rather win record numbers of the black vote than they would an election because they just really like black people because, they're cool. And so this has been very positive for the Trump campaign because Democrats rely on this POC coalition to win elections. And Republicans have spent decades and millions of dollars on strategists and consultants trying to figure out how to pull this off. Trump, for example, experimented with things like the First Step Act. Can we maybe pander to black voters and give them things that maybe we think they want and they'll vote for us? It didn't actually turn out. But what we find is that when you appeal to the issues that your base really cares about, that not only portrays strength, but also you find that Hispanics, blacks, they also like those issues. Whether it's cracking down on immigration, black people agree with that. Bringing jobs back to America. Black people also agree with that. So you don't have to think, well, Hispanics like it when we do this and blacks like it when we do this. And so we have to, because when you do that, not only is that not going to work because, okay, if the Republicans are saying they're going to let black people out of prison, well, Democrats are saying we're going to do that plus defund the police. Right. So you're not even doing what they're offering. Why would I go to you? And then also your core base, which tend to just be white Americans, are going to say, well, why are you doing all this when you didn't campaign on this? And so they will turn out for you in fewer numbers. And so Donald Trump is proving that it is possible to not only give your base what you're saying you will give to them, but also bring in new voters who previously wouldn't have voted for you. So I don't blame the Democrats for being scared and thinking that it's over because it is, and they're all going to go to Guantanamo.
So I want to play before we go to break. I want to play Jill Biden. I'm sorry. Dr. Jill Biden was on The View earlier today, and she was talking about, well, I know there's low poll numbers, but every vote counts, okay? So please go out and vote for my husband. Watch.
What message does the president have to give to make people get it that we are in a better place now?
Yeah. Well, we are in a better place now, and what you're saying is true, and we have to get out that message. Every vote counts. This election is important. And so we are going everywhere. We're meeting people where they are. We're meeting them in person. We're meeting them over the TV. We're meeting them in social media. We're not taking anything for granted because Joe has done amazing things for this country. And we have to get the message out.
Don't you love, like, if Joe has done so many amazing things for the country, you don't need to get the message out. We would just already know it. That's it. Like, you don't have to, you shouldn't have to convince Americans that they are on the right trajectory. It would just be completely obvious. They wouldn't be spending more money at the grocery store. They wouldn't be spending more money when they fill up their gas tanks. They wouldn't be hearing about illegal immigrants killing their family because Joe Biden let them in. Like, it's just mind-blowing to me. These people are so arrogant. They think, well, we just need to explain to these dumb Americans better how great they have it under Joe Biden. They're just so stupid. They don't get it. We're not the stupid ones, Jill. Doctor, Jill.
But that's their MO. They'll keep repeating something as if it's true.
Right.
And a lot of people actually, because it doesn't affect them on a daily basis, will go, okay, well, it's true.
The elitists, maybe. The elitists, maybe. I don't know who else this doesn't affect on a daily basis.
No, but I'm talking about other things that they would normally say, like, oh, the border's fine. And people who aren't on the border cities or, border states, they don't feel the pressure of that.
Chicago does. New York City does.
They do now. So now the cracks are coming because they've imported so many people. And even when you talk about the economy, they tell us, like, what was it the other day? Gas prices are down under Joe. I'm like, they came up under Joe by $1 or however much it was. So don't gaslight us to tell us you're doing such a great job because you raised the price up so much that now we've got to come and thank you for raising it 50 cents when you've put it up by $1. Yeah. Like, we're not morons, we're not idiots. And by the way, that woman, I think she's completely repugnant because she should take that man. That man should never have run for president.
I agree.
He shouldn't be out there. It's embarrassing
abuse.
To me.
It's
embarrassing.
Abuse. It's elder abuse. Okay. All right. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right. Host of Law and Border, Ben Bergquam, with an epic troll of Joy Reid on her way into the courtroom this morning in New York for Trump's trial. Watch.
Joy, just wondering, do you think people with Trump derangement syndrome know they have it?
You're an idiot.
And second question, did you steal Trump's haircut? Did he steal yours? Cultural appropriation haircut right there.
He said, did you steal Trump's haircut or did he steal yours? I think we know the answer to that. And of course, she responded by saying, you're an effing idiot. That's epic. I'm just saying, if any of us can get to New York City, it's great content to be had.
I wonder who's going to be in New York City tomorrow.
I think you are, because you said that earlier. So I think you should do it.
Could you imagine if you were there when... Like, I don't know what your schedule is. Can you, like, excuse yourself to go to the courtroom to see if they come back with a verdict?
Yeah.
That would be so insane.
I'll see what I can do.
Wow. Well, is it, like, public what you're going to be in New York for?
I can tell you, I'm going to the premiere of Protocol 7.
Can people get tickets or no?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
I'm trying to help you promote your movie.
I just work here, man.
I'm trying to dox his location to the Cartoon Network foot soldiers to stop our great Texan patriot Matthew Marsden from being effective. She's in with Joy Reid. She's in with Cartoon Network.
She'll be like, go protest him. Stop it.
Yeah, literally. So.
I will not allow these lies about me to continue on this program. I'm shutting both of you up.
You're going to blacklist me? That's why I wasn't on the show for 6 weeks, by the way. Because I'm the only one who's unfiltered.
Not true. That is not true.
I bet they're going to end the show right now.
Yeah, we are.
John Filtered.
John was too busy for me, and now he wants to come in and rewrite history. That is not going to happen.
They're going to end the show.
Filtered.
They're going to end the show.